Before we get started, I'd let you know that you will be muted during the program. We do want to keep the audio clear. We are recording this webinar, and we will be posting it up on the FSPA website. I should have it up there by tomorrow afternoon. We do want to answer your questions and respond to comments, so please use the question box on your webcast viewer to ask questions. I will be keeping an eye on that during the presentation, and we'll get to your questions one by one at the end of the program. We've set this up for an hour, but we'll stay until all the questions are answered. And for your convenience, March Networks is going to send the slides from today's presentation to all the registered attendees. So with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Mike.
Thank you. And this is Mike Kleinhens. I've been with March Networks a little over 10 years. I reside in Connecticut and manage the North Atlantic territory for March from a key account perspective. And I have focused on the banking vertical for a career at March Networks. Just to get started, March is #1 in bank branch video surveillance in Canada, the United States, Latin America, South America, and Central America. And banks are using our products in different areas, mostly in branches, but they also use our products in corporate data centers and corporate facilities and offices and things like that as well. A little background on March. We were formed in 2000. We are a global company in over 70 countries around the world. I'll talk a little bit later about managed world's largest managed DVR deployment. But for this purposes of this call, I think the most important 2 points that I'll ask to, there are over 550 banks globally that are using March Networks. As I said, in Connecticut, in the Pennsylvania to Maine region, since May of 2007, over 175 different banks have switched from what they were using to March Networks. So we've had a tremendous amount of success in the North Atlantic region. While we have some very large banks like JP Morgan Chase, TD Bank, Santander, Citizens Bank, People's United Bank, New York Community Bank, just to name some, the vast majority of the banks that are using March Networks are small community banks and credit unions, many times with 10, 20, 30, 40 branches or even less. In fact, of the 175 banks, I think we have 4 of them that have 1 branch. And they use March Networks for the same reason that JP Morgan Chase and some of the largest banking customers use March Networks. Again, another slide that kind of shows some of the largest banks in these regions that use March. But in terms of sheer numbers, lots and lots of community banks and credit unions are March Network customers. So typically the banking vertical is divided into 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And we have banks literally in all those tiers that use our products. Historically, banks have used video. They've had thousands and thousands of hours of video, and most of it is never used. It is used when there's an incident, typically robbery, fraud, or a slip and fall. Lots of time is spent searching for video that corresponds to transactions, especially fraudulent transactions where people cash a bad check inside a branch, and then the investigator is trying to find the video associated with that fraudulent transaction. And then there are a lot of companies out there that are offering separate solutions for things like people counting, skimming detection, and other analytic type applications that banks are interested in. So what March Networks provides to our banking customers, and the reason why we have the #1 position in the markets that we are in, is high quality video, very, very reliable and performance-based systems, easier management, and faster investigations. And I'll talk a little bit about how we accomplish those things. So from a hardware perspective, March has a full line of hybrid recorders. These hybrid recorders will run both analog and IP cameras. We have a 4-channel box, an 8-channel box, a 16-channel box, a 32-channel box, a 24-channel box, and we have a new 9000 series that's IP-based. You can also use encoders for analog cameras, but we have 32-channel, 48-channel, and 64-channel. So we've got from 4-channel to 64-channel embedded Linux-based appliances designed for recording video, and these systems all run the same software. So if you're a user, you don't know whether you're connected to a 4-channel box or a 64-channel box. The only way you know is by the number of cameras that you have the ability to see. But the software user interface is all exactly the same. This is a picture of the little 4-channel encoder. It was actually designed to go right inside an ATM machine. And we have a lot of our banking customers that use this product at remote ATM sites. This is our newest recorder that we just announced at the As Is show last month in Dallas. This is a 24-channel box that looks like a burglary alarm panel. It has the analog power supply and a PoE built in. And what's neat about this camera is this hardware product is it does support HD analog. So it's our first product that we have that supports the HD analog technology that a lot of our customers are expressing interest in today. And then this is the 9000 series that I talked about before. So there are no analog ports on the back of these products. If you need if you have analog cameras, you use our encoders to connect analog cameras to these boxes. A lot of our banking customers are using these now in corporate offices and data centers, especially if it's new construction where they're not necessarily going to wire for analog cameras, where they may go with all IP cameras. We do have some of our banking customers that are, when they build a new branch, they go all IP, and so they'll use the 32-channel model of this product because, again, they don't need analog ports typically when building new branches. We have an ATM camera. This is a 3-megapixel IP camera that we designed specifically for going inside an ATM machine. The real beauty of this product is how well it handles sunlight. The number one issue that our banking customers have with cameras in their ATM vestibules is the tremendous amount of sunlight that typically pours in through the glass. And this camera has the technology in it, that HDR technology that does very, very well in very bright light situations. So you're able to see right through glass and see the person that's right in front of the ATM machine. Again, very small in its design, and it'll fit in just about any ATM system that we've tested this in. This gives you another example of the kind of clarity that you have with this camera. The picture in the upper right-hand corner is from this camera. It kind of shows you how well you can still see the person's face, even though it's a very, very bright environment. The picture on the bottom of the lower right is using a competitor's covert camera, and you can see how dark the person's face is in contrast to the brightness of the lights behind them. March has a solution called Searchlight, and Searchlight for banking is really a suite of products from March that basically combines the strength we have in our basic video recording solution, and then really adds two things to it. The first piece that it adds is teller and ATM transaction integration, and then business analytics. So analytics that help our banking customers assess and manage their business. So some of the analytics and some of the things that we do with our solution, the ability to detect whether a skimmer is being installed or has been installed. The way we do this is we have the ability to integrate all transactions with video using the Searchlight transaction integration solution. And when we do that, we then can use a product that is able to detect presence in front of the ATM machine. So if someone stands in front of the ATM machine and does not execute a transaction, that video is flagged, and then that video can be reviewed. So if someone isn't standing in front of an ATM machine and they stand there for X period of time, where you decide how long that period of time is, and does not execute a transaction, then again, that video is flagged and someone can review it. In the case of here, you've got somebody potentially installing a skimmer device. That's why there's no transaction during the time that this person is standing in front of the machine. Conversely, by using the transaction integration piece and the presence detection analytic, we're able to detect if the same person is standing inside in front of that ATM machine and is executing more than one transaction with different account numbers. If that's happening, that's typically somebody that's doing cash harvesting. And using the same device that we use to detect presence, we're also able to do things like count the number of people that come in and out of a branch. The system has the ability to detect whether or not the person is a child or an adult. We can measure how long people are standing in line, and we can also measure how long people stand in a particular place. Measuring how long people stand in line, a lot of our banks are moving to tellerless environments, and so they want to measure how long people are standing in line. Those that are not moving to the tellerless environment maybe want to use this to gauge when employees should be taking lunch breaks and things like that. Customer dwell time, if you have a marketing display that's promoting mortgages or car loans or student loans, and you want to see if that marketing display is drawing eyeballs, you have the ability to measure how long people are standing in a particular area in order to assess whether or not a marketing program is successful. Again, this is a sample of how we're able to define business rules. So in this case here, it's a case of having a business rule that says if someone stands in front of the ATM machine and does not execute a transaction for X period of time, I want that video flagged so that I can quickly review any incident. When I click on the incident, not only does it show it shows the video associated with that directly from the DVR, wherever that DVR may be in their footprint. Again, there's some graphical displays that show in the terms of dwell time or how long people are standing in a particular place by hour of the day. One of the neat things we're also able to do is something we call operations audits. So you have the ability with any camera that you have in your footprint to program that camera to take a snapshot. And that programming of the camera, the snapshots can be taken as little as every half hour or as great as every 4 hours. And then these images can be stored on a central server. So people can access these images without actually accessing the DVR in a branch. So some of our customers use this to measure, did the branch open on time? Is the branch clean? Are the marketing displays set up? Is the parking lot clear, especially in the Northeast or in climates where you might have snow? They might want to know if the parking lot is clear. So again, using any existing camera that exists inside a branch, you can program it to take a picture and then make these pictures available via corporate system so that when your people are reviewing this, they're not actually using any bandwidth to the branch to do so. This just gives you an idea of the analytic that we use. The box that we use to perform our analytics is a product called Brickstream, and this device is used for people counting, it's used for queue line monitoring, it's used for dwell time, and it's also used for presence detection. So this is, again, just some of those basic analytics that I was talking about, the people counting, the queue line, and the dwell time. One of the things that sets March Networks apart from our competition is the centralized management capabilities that our products have. So what our centralized management functionality does, it literally performs a number of tasks. One of the things that it does is provides health monitoring. So DVRs are on a network, and the centralized management software resides on a server in the customer's data center. And all the DVRs communicate with that centralized management software. And they do so by, the DVRs have a heartbeat. And the heartbeat goes out every 2 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds. And in the heartbeat, there's a number of things that are in there. It's a 2K packet of data, so it's virtually no network traffic at all. But the heartbeat contains things like date, time, status of camera, status of hard drives, status of network connection. So literally, if you lose power in a branch, you'll know about it within seconds of it happening. The DVR has a built-in power, a battery that provides a graceful shutdown so that the SOS from the DVR can be sent out before the DVR is down. The real-time, the health monitoring is near real-time. So if you lose a camera in a branch, if you lose a hard drive, you literally find out about it within seconds of it happening, not the next time your centralized management software is scheduled to run. Typically, some of our competitors have a solution where the centralized management software runs once a day, say 7 o'clock in the morning. It'll pull all the DVRs and get a health check. Then that does not run again till the next day at 7 o'clock in the morning. With March Networks, if the DVR has a problem, you're able to get an alert almost instantaneously. So you know about problems right away, not the next time your health monitoring software runs. One of the things that is contained in the heartbeat is date and time. So if you lose power in a branch, let's say it comes back up, the DVR comes back like an appliance, like a refrigerator, without any human intervention. So power is restored, the DVR comes back. The minute it comes back, the first thing it does is it sends out its heartbeat. The centralized management software sees that the time is off by 15 minutes and will automatically reset the time on that DVR. So every single DVR in your footprint is in perfect time synchronization without any human intervention whatsoever. We have customers like JP Morgan Chase that have almost 9,000 March recorders, and every single recorder is in perfect time synchronization without JP Morgan Chase having to touch a single one. Not only does the centralized management software monitor the health of the DVRs and the time of the DVRs, but it's also used to upgrade the DVR firmware. So March Networks provides, when you buy a March Networks recorder, March provides all of the software updates for the recorder for as long as a customer owns the system, and we do it without charge. So we come out with typically 3 to 4 new versions of our software per year, and the software typically has new features and functionality. And you have the ability to upgrade the DVR firmware through the centralized management software. So you're able to schedule it. So if you were a very large bank that had 1,000 branches, you're able to schedule the firmware upgrades to go out through the night. So you could say, you could start it at midnight and say we're going to do midnight to 4 a.m. and it'll do as many as it can in that time interval. Typically, a firmware upgrade takes anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes per DVR, and you can schedule it to do 10 at a time or 20 at a time if you like. If during that time window, not all the DVRs are upgraded, the next night at midnight, it'll pick up where it left off again until all of them are done. So this can all be done through the network. The centralized management software also keeps track of user profiles. So you can set up profiles for users. So a branch manager at a bank may only have the ability to look at live video in their branch. They may not have the ability to look at recorded video. They may not have the ability to save an image or save a clip. One of the things about banks that's different from other environments is typically, for most of our customers, no one in the branch touches video. If there's an incident, it's handled by a corporate physical security staff. And you're able to, again, decide what functionality any particular user has. Not only can you determine what they can do, look at live, look at recorded, save images, save clips, you can also limit it by camera as well or by site. So when a user logs on, they're only going to see the cameras that you allow them to see, and they're only going to have the functionality that you allow them to have. All of that is controlled by the central management software. And then the last thing that it does that's kind of neat is it keeps track of every single DVR configuration. So if you had a DVR that died and had to be replaced, you can mark that DVR for replacement. When a new DVR arrives on site and is connected to the centralized management software, it can be automatically programmed by the centralized management software exactly as the old system was. So camera names, frame rates, any schedules, any kind of programming that was done to that DVR can be saved, and then that programming can be applied by the centralized management software to the new recorder that's connected to the network. So the last couple slides I have, and then we can open this up for questions. A lot of people ask me, why March Networks? Why should we use March Networks if you're a bank, or why should an integrator want to sell our product to a bank? A lot of our customers tell us that we have the fastest search capability for recorded video. When you're looking at recorded video, you do not have to watch recorded video. We have a motion histogram and we have thumbnails. So if you had an incident where something happened yesterday, let's say a purse was left in a branch and the woman said she was in there at 1 p.m., you can go to that DVR, you can look at 1 p.m., and you can say between 1 and 3, and then it's going to divide that time interval up into 7 equal increments, and then you're able to just look at little thumbnails. Was the purse visible? And you're able to continue to refine that. So most of our customers are able to find video without ever having to watch any recorded video whatsoever. I talked already about our centralized management capability. March has centralized ATM and teller transaction integration capability with Searchlight. And what this does is it allows video to be associated with every single transaction. So if you want to type in transaction number, you're able to look at the video associated with that transaction. We actually do this without any hardware or software at all in the branch. We do it with a centralized solution. We get a data feed from the customer's teller environment or ATM environment to a server in their data center running our Searchlight software, and we map cameras to teller stations and ATM machines that then allow you to look at the video associated with any transaction. All of our systems are embedded Linux-based systems, so they're very, very reliable. The operating instructions are not on the hard drives where video is stored. It makes our systems extremely reliable. JP Morgan Chase had about 1,600 of our DVRs that were over 10 years old, and they were still running, software and operating in their environment. Again, our systems are extremely reliable. They're purpose-built machines to do one thing, and one thing only, that's record video 24/7. It is not a Microsoft-based system with a video capture card in it and called a DVR. This is a purpose-built appliance that's embedded Linux-based, and the operating instructions for the DVR are not even on the hard drives where video is stored. It's on a chipset. So it's literally like a refrigerator, like a stove. It literally is a very, very reliable network appliance. All of our recorders, from the 4-channel all the way up to the 64-channel, support IP cameras, and there are no camera licensing fees of any kind. So when you buy a March Networks recorder, if the recorder can support 64 cameras, you can connect 64 cameras to that device. We have a very unique docking station design for our 16-channel and 32-channel 8000 series box, and which our integrators absolutely love. You're able to put the DVR in a 19-inch rack, and there's a key that turns it on and off, and it also allows you to slide it out. And so all the network connections stay nice and tight in the back, and you have a module that slides out, so that if you had to change a hard drive, a power supply, the battery backup, or fans, you're able to do so, and you don't mess with any of the network connections that are in the back. I talked about our health monitoring, and it's near real-time health monitoring. March has a case management tool. So if a bank has a person that's come in and cashed a fraudulent check at 3 different branches on 3 different dates on 3 different times, you can take images and video clips of that person, put it all into one folder, and then burn the entire contents of that folder along with your notes onto a single USB, onto a single CD or DVD, if you like. So you have the ability to take incidents from multiple sites and save it into one folder or save it into one disk. We have an extensive track record of existing banking customers. Our managed services, March has a network operations center in Ottawa. And although we provide all of the health monitoring capabilities for our customers with the centralized management software, some of our large customers would prefer that they spend their time doing other things than monitoring the health of the DVRs. So March Networks has the ability to manage this for our existing customers. It's something that the integrators sell, but March actually does the work. So we monitor on a daily basis all of the health alerts and provide them daily, weekly, and monthly reports on the complete status of their environment. How many cameras are out? How many hard drive issues do they have? How many network issues they have? What version of firmware are all the DVRs running? How many days of recorded video are they getting? So some of our larger customers use this. In the banking world, TD Bank in the United States uses this service, and March Networks is monitoring their DVRs for them on a daily basis. We have a number of analytics that are specifically designed for the banking world. So I talked about the skimming detection analytic. We have partnered with a company called Patriot One for weapon detection. A lot of our customers are interested in this in their corporate facilities. So it's a radar technology that's able to detect if a person walking into a building is carrying a gun or a weapon. We have a partnership with Axis, a camera company, for license plate recognition. And a lot of our customers, banking customers, are interested in capturing the license plate data for every transaction that occurs in their ATM drive-throughs, because a higher percentage of fraud is typically in the drive-through than it is inside the branch. So the ability to capture license plates and have license plates associated with every transaction is something that a lot of our banking customers are interested in. And then the last one I've listed here, which is coming very soon, is called vagrancy detection. So a lot of our banking customers have problems with homeless people and bums and vagrants of all kinds who are camping out in their ATM vestibules. It's not good for business. So they want the ability to, within a command center environment, be notified when someone comes into an ATM vestibule and camps out on the floor, or is in there for a longer period of time, so that they can take action against those individuals inside their ATM vestibules. USB burning, evidence of that, again, because I talked about the fact that in a banking environment, almost nobody in the branch touches video. So if you have a corporate headquarters and a branch that's 100 miles away, and they had a robbery, and the FBI or the police are on site, someone at corporate can go access the DVR, can find it, save images and save video clips of the person coming in and robbing the bank, and then they're able to push only the images and the video clips that they want to a USB stick that gets plugged into the front of the DVR, and the police on site can have the evidence without somebody having to get into the car and drive to the site and burn a USB or burn a CD, or somebody pull it across the network, burn it, and then FedEx evidence to the police. The police can actually get it right on the spot, even though no one in the branch uses the DVR. Everything inside the DVR is field replaceable except the motherboard. So the hard drives, the batteries, the fans, and the battery backup are all field replaceable. We have superior analog image quality. When I say analog, I'm talking about conventional analog cameras now, not the HD analog cameras. But when you can attach an analog camera to a March recorder, the imagery is so good, you actually have a hard time distinguishing the difference between an IP megapixel camera and an analog camera unless you're zooming in. That's how sharp and crystal clear the image is, and it's because of the level of H.264 compression that March used when we designed this box. Again, there are no camera licensing fees of any kind with the March recorder. All of our recorders run the exact same software. We're very flexible when it comes to analog and IP cameras. Some products out there, for example, a 16-channel DVR can only support a maximum of 8 IP cameras. With March Networks, that's not the case. The 4, the 16, the 8, they can support as many IP cameras as the system supports. So again, the 64-channel DVR can support 64 IP cameras. The 24-channel can support 24. The only limitation is on the number of analog ports. On the 32-channel box, it has 16 analog ports, so if you needed more than 16 analogs, you would use an encoder. But there is no, so again, like with a 16-channel DVR, you could have 15 IP cameras and 1 analog, or you could have 15 analog and 1 IP, but there's no limit on the number of IP cameras that you can use inside our box. Our systems are very, very network friendly. Most of the time, the IT departments are the biggest supporters of the March Networks platform. We've had some customers do benchmarking of how quick you can download video using our platform, and they found that with our platform, that because we compress it so efficiently, when we actually go to download it or bring it across the network, it's much more efficient than most of the products that are out there in the market. And then lastly, we do not use proprietary hard drives. So the hard drives inside our system are drives, purpose-built drives. They're typically called the Purple Stripe drives. They're drives that are designed for 24/7 video recording, but they're not proprietary drives. Lastly, this is just a slide from one of our large banking customers, which is Fifth Third Bank. And they've been a very long time March customer. And this is just a quote from them. And then lastly, as I said, I'm part of the key account team for March Networks. So I manage the large banks in the Northeast and in Eastern Canada. But this is a map that shows our channel account team throughout the US and Canada. And these are the people from March that you would work with if you wanted to find out more about our product or introduce a banking customer of yours to the March platform. This is a list of the channel account reps throughout the United States and Canada that support the integrators like yourselves. So that's all I had, BJ. If you want to open it up for questions, that would be great.
Okay. I do have a couple of questions. One is talking about the field replaceable parts for your DVRs. Where are those parts depoted and what's availability?
So so typically, let me explain the way it works. So our products come with a standard 2-year warranty. So we provide a 2-year warranty on all components of a system. So if you were to have an issue with a system while it's under warranty, March Networks overnights at our expense the replacement product, and then you install the replacement product inside the DVR. That covers the battery, the fans, the power supply, and the hard drive. The only thing that's not field replaceable is the motherboard. So if the motherboard were to die within the first 2 years, let's say it gets hit by lightning or something and the motherboard dies, March would overnight at our expense a replacement unit. So let's say it was a 16-channel DVR that a bank had. We would overnight a 16-channel unit that has no hard drives in it. The integrator then would take the hard drives out of the unit that's there, put them in the new unit that arrives, and then March also pays for the shipping of that older DVR, or the DVR that was damaged, back to March Networks, and that's how it works if it's in warranty. If it's out of warranty, March stocks all of those parts, so any integrator can stock some parts if they like. If it's the motherboard that dies, typically the way it works is either a bank will have a spare unit in inventory, or March has something called advanced replacement. So advanced replacement is within 48 hours we ship the new DVR with motherboard in it, and then you have two options. You can either return the DVR that the bank had, and it will be repaired within 10 days. All repairs are done out of our depot in St. Louis, Missouri, or you just keep the replacement. You keep the replacement that March sends you, and send the old system back to March.
Okay. I have another question. The hard drives are not proprietary?
Yes, they're non-proprietary hard drives with March Networks. So some companies out there, force you to use their proprietary hard drives, which typically means higher cost. March does not have proprietary drives. We use the industry standard purple stripe drives, typically by Seagate or Western Digital. Those are the hard drives. And today, we're able to support 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, 4 terabyte, 6 terabyte, and 8 terabyte drives, and we are currently looking at 12 terabyte drives in our lab.
Okay. A question about the Searchlight transaction integration. Is there additional hardware or software needed at the branch for that?
No. So the Searchlight transaction integration piece requires no additional hardware, software, or wiring of any kind at the branch. The way it works is the bank today, all banks are centrally capturing all of their transaction data, whether it's from their teller machine or from their ATM machine. Many of them use third-party companies like Fiserv or other companies, but the bank has a feed that they get either internally or through an external company. That feed has all of the transaction data, and what March does is we get that feed from the bank inside their data center to our server running Searchlight, and then that's what we use to map transactions to cameras, so that if the bank wants to look at any transaction, they're able to see the video associated with that transaction. So typically in a bank environment, when you have a fraudulent transaction and you don't have this linkage of video to transaction data, what happens is the fraud investigator knows that this transaction number was fraud. So the transaction data says that it's this number, it took place in this branch, and it took place at this time. They now have to go to the video surveillance system in the branch, and they have to try to map and find the video associated with that transaction. Oftentimes, the transaction data and the DVR time are not synchronized. So if the transaction data says it took place at exactly 10 a.m., they could go to the video, and the video at 10 a.m. may show no customers in the branch. So now they know that the time is off, and now they've got to try to figure out, well, where's the video associated with this transaction? With March Networks and this Searchlight transaction integration solution, you never have to look for the video because every single transaction has the video linked to it. So by simply typing in transaction number and hit find, they would look at the video associated with that transaction and then all its transaction data next to the video.
All right, next question. If I have a customer that wants to upgrade storage, that would be accomplished by us, or would it need to be sent in?
No, everything is done on site. So if the customer wants to increase the amount of storage, they simply, the integrator typically goes on site and installs the hard drive, and there's no programming of any kind that's required. You simply install the hard drive, and then the additional storage is there and available.
If one of our members has a customer that's interested in the managed services, is there some type of a commission or referral program for bringing a customer to you on managed services?
The way it works is, although March performs the service, the integrator still sells it, just like they sell our DVR or our cameras or any of our equipment. So we provide to the integrator our cost to the integrator, and then the integrator provides a cost to the end user. And typically the way it's done is it's sold on a per DVR per month basis. So that's typically how it's done. So just like anything else from March, we provide the integrator with a cost, and then the integrator provides the customer with a price.
In that relationship, is there any piece of the service or responsibility that's retained by the integrator in that managed services, or does March do everything?
So March typically manages all of the health that's associated with that environment. And then what happens is March Networks and the integrator decide how information is going to be shared. So does the integrator want the information going directly from March to the end user, or does the integrator want the information going from March to the integrator, and then the integrator will provide the information to the end user? So that's something that gets talked about between the integrator and March Network, and every end user is different. In the case of TD Bank, March Networks provides all of the reports directly to TD Bank, but there are other instances where the integrator prefers that data come to them.
All right, and then I do have a question about the camera licenses. So there are no fees for the camera licenses. It just comes with the recorder?
Yep. Not only are there no fees, there are no annual fees, no recurring fees of any kind. So when an end user buys the March recorder, there are no camera licensing fees, and they get all the software upgrades for free as long as they own the system. So they buy the DVR, the software that you use to access the DVR comes with it. It can be loaded on as many desktops as the customer wants, and all the software upgrades and are provided free of charge for as long as the customer owns the system.
Okay, I have another question about the upgrade on the storage. If the member upgrades the storage and the unit is sent in, how does the repair relate to the unit not matching the way it was sold?
So the storage, when a unit is sent back to March, the unit is never sent back with hard drives in it. March never wants to take the customer's video. The customer's video belongs to them. The only time a DVR is ever sent back to March is when the motherboard dies. And the only thing sent back to March is the actual, DVR itself. None of the hard drives are ever sent back to March Networks. So the hard drives always stay with the customer. So again, let me just give you an example. So you have a DVR that dies, and the DVR has 4 hard drives in it. When the integrator goes out, let's say it's out of warranty, the integrator goes to the customer site. The integrator would put in a replacement DVR and then put those 4 drives that were in the unit that died into the replacement DVR, and then send the unit that died back to March Networks. But it's never sent to March Networks with hard drives in it. Hard drives always stay with the customer.
Okay, Joe, do you want to confirm that answers your question? All right. Is there a way to completely reset the DVR to delete video from the unit's hard drives?
That's a good question. I don't, typically that's not done. So typically a bank wants to is required, let's say, to hold video for 90 days. So I'm sure you can wipe a hard drive clean if you had to, but typically that's not something our customers do.
Okay, I think the question relates to if you're putting a loaner out there, will he actually then have to, a loaner DVR, would he actually have to sell the hard drives to the customer for them to record their transactions on? So part of it relates to, you need to have a clean DVR to loan to somebody.
No. So the hard drives and the DVRs think of them as separate things. So when you put a loaner, the only time you put a loaner DVR in a customer site is when the motherboard, it dies. And when that happens, you still take the hard drives from the previous recorder and put it in the loaner DVR. So the hard drives are always there with the customer, and you're not in a situation where you have loaner hard drives. So the hard drives always stay with the customer, and if a motherboard dies in a DVR, the new DVR arrives on site. You take the old drives and put them in the new DVR, plug it in, and you're recording, and the customer still has all of their old video.
Got it. Joe, are you good with that? Does that answer your question? All right, and then I do have, yes, Joe's good with that. Thank you very much. And then I do have a question on sales support. If somebody comes to you with a lead and you've got people in each territory, would they be available to help on a product demo for a potential customer for a first-time March sale?
Yeah, so one of the neat things that March does, we try to treat every single customer the same, whether it's JP Morgan Chase with 9,000 recorders or it's a small community bank with 9. Nobody's treated any differently within March. So the channel account managers that are in the document, the very last slide, those channel account managers, if an integrator wants to bring March in, March actually will go with the integrator to present and demo our solution for a customer. Not only will we provide a sales resource, but more importantly, we provide a sales engineering resource. That's a field technical person. The field technical person would go with the integrator, and if an end user wants to try a March system, we'll actually provide a system that the customer can try, and the March sales engineer will set it up and train the end user. And we do this without any cost to the end user or to the integrator. You get one chance to make a first impression, so we want to make sure that if an integrator wants to introduce March to a bank, we want to make sure that we put our best foot forward, and we'll have the sales and technical resources there on site to ensure that everything goes well and it gets installed right the first time, and that the customer is trained on how to use the system. And again, it doesn't matter to March whether it's a bank that has 9 branches or 90 or 900. We try to treat every single customer the exact same way with that on-site support. And then what happens over time is, as the integrators become more familiar with our product and are using it more and more, over time they become self-sufficient. But in the beginning, most of our integrators need help from March, and we provide it at no charge.
Wow, that's great. Does anybody else have any questions? Looks like we're good. So again, what a great job, Mike. Thank you very, very much. And a shout out to all of the wait, I got one more question. When will the dongles be operational?
I do not know the answer to that question. That would be a question for our sales engineer.
I can answer that. I can answer that. The Wi-Fi dongles are available today to be able to utilize with the 8000 series. And I can provide the dongles free of charge.
Joe, do you have any other questions about that?
I would like to say one last thing, though, since the audience here is integrators, and typically when I'm speaking to an end user. But from an integrator's perspective, one of the neat things that March Networks has is an application called Guru. And Guru is a free app. It's G-U-R-U. And it's a free app that you can download on your smartphone. And it contains a wealth of information. So one of the neat things is every DVR has a QR code on the front of it. And with the Guru app, you can point the app to the Guru code, and it's going to give you all of the data on that DVR. It'll tell you when the warranty ends, what's in the DVR, or what the make and model of the DVR, what the warranty is, and that's from it. The Guru app also has health monitoring tips for you. So if you get on site, we have indicator lights that are on the front of the DVR, and depending on what color those lights are, it'll tell you. The Guru app will tell you what those lights mean. So if you have a red light or a blue light or a green light, it's going to tell you what those lights are and what those lights mean. There's training videos that are on the Guru app that show you, how to do things, and it also shows end users how to burn an image, how to save a clip, how to save an image, how to look at live video, how to look at recorded video. So the Guru app is a really neat tool for the integrator. And the other neat thing it allows an integrator to do is it allows an integrator, once the DVR is installed, you can literally, through the Guru app, take a snapshot of every single camera and then send that to the person at the bank that has to bless the work, so that, while you're there on site, you can say, here are the 16 cameras at this bank, here's an image of what they're looking at, and they can say, yeah, that looks good, or, hey, this one camera needs to be adjusted, needs to be moved, to the left or to the right or up or down. But you literally have the ability to do that through this Guru app, which is kind of neat.
Okay, it looks like we have gotten through all of the questions, and everybody's good. So again, thank you, Mike, and Lisa, for the webinar today. The amount of information that you covered was amazing. So thank you very much, and thank you to all the attendees. Again, March will be contacting you with the presentation slides and advising you of your local contact person. I am going to have the recording up on the website, hopefully later today or tomorrow, and so that'll be there. It's not behind a login, so you can send other people who missed this today right to the FISPO website, www.fspa1.com, And if you click on webinars, it'll come up with a list of the webinars that we have given in the past that have been recorded. So again, these are a benefit of being a member of FISPA. And thank you for being part of this today. And thank you, March Networks, for an awesome job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.